Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're skipping the basic Tax 101 fluff and getting right into the gears of a highly specific, high-yield financial tool, the American Opportunity Tax Credit. We're going to clinically deconstruct exactly how this mechanism functions, the precise inputs you need to qualify, and some really non-obvious strategies that experts use to totally optimize its outputs. Here's our roadmap for today's analysis. 1. Core mechanisms and yields. 2. Financial and filing constraints. 3. The qualification matrix. And finally, 4. Strategic dependency and optimization. Okay, let's dive straight into Section 1, Core Mechanisms and Yields, the fundamental engine. $2,500. Let that number sink in for a second. This is our absolute maximum potential yield per student, and it perfectly establishes the incredibly high stakes we're dealing with here. You see, this isn't just a generalized deduction that merely lowers your taxable income on paper. No way, it's a credit. That means it's a direct dollar-for-dollar reduction in your final tax liability. If you owe the government money, pulling this lever correctly wipes away up to $2,500 of that debt instantly. But you can't just throw a flat expense number at the system and expect it to work. It requires a highly specific, tiered mathematical input. Think of it like a two-stage rocket. The mechanism actually evaluates your educational expenses in two distinct tiers, and it operates on a strict principle of diminishing returns. So for the first $2,000 of qualified expenses you input, the system yields a beautiful 100% return, directly crediting you that $2,000. But then the efficiency drops off. For the exact next $2,000 of expenses, the system only yields a 25% return, which generates the final $500. So the cause and effect here is crystal clear. To extract the absolute maximum $2,500 yield, you need to input exactly $4,000 of qualified expenses. Anything beyond that $4,000, whether you spent $5,000 or $50,000 on tuition, literally produces zero additional yield. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how that total financial yield is actually fractured into two distinct types of capital. 60% of it, so $1,500, is non-refundable. That part acts purely as a defensive shield, right? It reduces an existing tax bill down to zero, but absolutely no further. However, the remaining 40%, up to $1,000, is classified as refundable. This is a crucial, ridiculously powerful distinction. It means the mechanism will output up to $1,000 in direct liquid cash back to you, even if your foundational tax liability was already absolute zero before applying the credit. It's an active cash-generating feature. And here's a massive, non-obvious insight that expert analysts always highlight. A very common assumption is that you need out-of-pocket liquid cash to activate this mechanism. Actually, scratch that, it is entirely incorrect. Using student loans to pay for qualified expenses is perfectly valid input data. The system views borrowed capital and liquid cash identically when calculating your yield. Because you're legally obligated to repay that loan later, the expense is recognized immediately. Misunderstanding this implicit rule is a huge point of failure. People routinely leave thousands of dollars locked inside the machine simply because they paid with loans. Right, moving on to Section 2, Financial and Filing Constraints. These are the processing limiters you have to watch out for. The system enforces some very exact degradation thresholds based on your adjusted gross income. For single filers, the exact moment your income surpasses $80,000, the mechanism's yield begins to actively degrade. And at $90,000, it hits a hard cap, zeroing out completely. For joint filers, those exact parameters are just mathematically doubled. So, degradation begins at $160,000, and total system failure happens at $180,000. These are absolute structural boundaries, folks, and you absolutely must factor them into your overarching strategy. Furthermore, there is a literal deal breaker based on your filing status. If you are legally married, but you choose the status married filing separately, you trigger an automatic fatal error in the system. The mechanism is specifically designed to stop double dipping or manipulating income thresholds between spouses. So choosing this status results in an immediate abort. You get complete disqualification and total forfeiture of the benefit, regardless of your income or how perfectly valid your expenses are. Let's jump to Section 3, the qualification matrix, the binary parameters of the system. To even initiate the calculation phase, the student has to satisfy a rigid set of binary parameters. And the crucial point is, failing a single one results in an immediate rejection. So the student must be actively pursuing a recognized credential. They must be enrolled at least half-time. They have to be strictly within the temporal window of their first 4 years of higher education. And this credit cannot have been claimed for them more than 4 times previously. Oh, and finally, there's a surprisingly specific behavioral constraint. The student must have 0 felony drug convictions at the close of the tax year. It's an unforgiving matrix for sure. Every single box must be checked. Now, to satisfy that half-time enrollment constraint, we have to define the boundaries of an academic period. Expert analysis shows that the specific educational institution actually gets to set this definition, not some standardized federal calendar. This gives us some great strategic flexibility. It could be a traditional semester, a trimester, a quarter, a summer session, or literally even a non-standard payment period for trade schools that rely on clock hours. Which leads us to another highly actionable insight. The system's definition of a valid institution is way wider than just standard four-year universities. Accredited vocational and technical schools that are eligible for federal student aid, they successfully satisfy the matrix. Non-traditional academic paths like culinary institutes, mechanics programs, or even coding boot camps, provided they have that federal aid eligibility, perfectly align with the required inputs, unlocking that exact same $2,500 yield. Finally, Section 4, Strategics, Dependency, and Optimization. This is where it all comes together. The system essentially forces a strategic choice upon you. Who actually claims the credit? Is it the student who's generating the expenses, or is it the parent supporting the student? The answer to this directly manipulates your final financial yield, specifically regarding that highly valuable $1,000 refundable portion we were looking at earlier. And this brilliantly illustrates the hidden logic of the system. If a student who is under the age of 24 and who is largely supported by a parent attempts to independently claim the credit, a fail-safe activates. The system completely zeroes out that $1,000 refundable yield. Why? To prevent dependents from generating unearned cash refunds. But if the parent steps in, officially declares the student as a dependent, and claims the credit on their own return, that fail-safe is bypassed. The parent unlocks the full $1,000 refundable yield, turning a potential $0 cash outcome into a $1,000 return. It's a real game changer. So let's map out the definitive step-by-step tactical playbook to optimize this output. Step 1, verify the student does not provide more than 50% of their own financial support, firmly establishing their dependent status. Step 2, the parent officially declares the student as a dependent on their filing. Step 3, the parent, not the student, inputs those qualified expenses and formally claims the educational benefit. And Step 4, the system processes this perfectly optimized data and outputs the maximum return, letting you capture up to that $1,000 liquid refund. This entire mechanism is incredibly precise. It requires exact inputs, strict adherence to its constraints, and some real strategic navigation of dependency rules to actually spit out its maximum $2,500 yield. So I want to leave you with this question to analyze for yourself. Are your current assumptions about how educational expenses are processed leaving valuable financial yields locked away inside the machine? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this breakdown helps you optimize your strategy moving forward. See you next time.